It's DEW Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this DEW Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Wow Wednesday, and we got started with our girl Vivian and her socially conscious segment. Well, as always, it's the beginning of the school year soon, and they are not prepared. They have a special education issue this year. Only a few states are meeting the needs of the special education students. Yes. Now, the disabilities are there. They know they're there, but they have a rating system, and they base it on the graduation rate, on the discipline of the children. And they're at the point where, because there's only 19 states out of all the states, there are only 19 states that are actually meeting the criteria for these special ed children, that they are about to cut the funding for all the other schools who are not meeting the need. Now, this has been going on for more than 2 years. And clearly nobody's interested in getting this together, because when you fail, they let you know. When you pass, they let you know. So why hasn't anyone done anything about this? Well, at the top of the list, California, Texas, Florida, Alabama, New York. Those are at the top 5. Those are the top 5 states that are meeting the needs of our special ed students. So prayers up, because these children have to go to school. And if they're in school, then they need to be learning. And if they need to learn, then they need to be learning the way they should be learning. Not this lazy teaching and whatever they're not doing. Well, oh boy, there's a new, a new trend. Let's talk about that. The new trend of parents who are actually leaving their jobs to tend to their teen children, because they are saying now that these children need extra time, special time, because their brains are not fully developed well into their 20s. Now, this may be the reason why people in their 20s and 30s were saying they were still trying to find themselves, because if you're a teen and your mental ability, or your mental development rather, has not gotten to where it should be until you're in your 20s, then that means that the things that you should have been ready for in your 20s, you're really not going to be ready for until your 30s. This sheds a whole different light on things. So something else for us to understand. But yes, they have a new thing where people are leaving their jobs, parents are leaving their jobs to spend more time with their teens. And if you can afford to leave your job, then that's great. That is absolutely great. However, are our teens going to make you quitting your job well worth it? That's the question at hand. Well, excuse me, there's a Long Island man who owns a construction company, or maybe at this time we could say he owned a construction company, where he hired someone to kill his partner. Now, he was supposed to kidnap, torture, and do all of these things to this man. And he was going to pay $100,000 as well as give the hired hitman 10 acres of land. Well, after paying the hired man $7,000, he reneged and he decided he was going to go to the authorities. And that he did. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, the conversation that ensued behind that one was funny. Nobody gets away with hiring a hitman. At least we haven't heard of it. All we're hearing of is the epic failure of these people who are hiring these individuals to do the job. And at the end of the day, they're going to jail. So don't try it at home. Don't bother. Don't bother to try it at home. Okay? Well, that was just some of the stuff we talked about yesterday. And the ladies did a fine job, as always. So if I were you, I'd go back and listen. Now, while we're here, I want to remind you that if you want to watch, for all of our podcasters, you can watch on YouTube Live. Yeah, we are live. You don't have to wait for the playback. We are live each and every morning, Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are live on A Closer Walk Christian Media Network YouTube channel, or we're live on Facebook, Coach for Christian Life. So if you don't want to wait and you got time during those hours, come on and join us. And that way you can put some comments in that chat room, because baby, that's what keeps this party going. All of the comments that go on. And if you cannot watch, then there's an option for you to listen on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, what else? Apple Podcast, Apple iTunes, Audible.com, pretty much on every streaming service that's out there. And it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is all you got to type in, and you will be able to listen while you're driving, while you're bathing, while you're cleaning. Yeah, you can definitely catch us live. Yes. So either way, we're available to you. Okay? All right. Well, today is Therapeutic Thursday, the day we talk about our health. Now, the Due Time Crew Talk does this in a whole different shape, form, and fashion than the normal people do. And laughter is most times how we get it done. All right? So here we are on a Therapeutic Thursday. We can't wait to get this party started. So let's go get that healthy breakfast. Go tell somebody, anybody, that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
The 1800s relied on burning coal or wood to heat their homes. This method of heating sucked because the heat usually was hottest right in front of the fireplace, which left the rest of the room cold. On December 23, 1919, Alice H. Parker patented the first furnace powered by natural gas that was for homes and offices. Her invention would suck in the cold air and exchange it with hot air. It would then distribute that hot air to the different parts of the home. Her invention was the first to have individually controlled air ducts that would distribute heat throughout the home. Parker played
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Therapeutic Thursday. Good morning. Yes, we're almost there. We're almost there. We only got one more day to go, and then we'll be at a weekend. All right. Well, listen. Today is the last day of July. Yes, it is July 31st. 2025, a day we have never seen before and a day we'll never see again. And I need to know who's in the room. I know I got viewers. I just need to know who's out there. So if you're out there, please make sure you give Pastor Steph a shout out so that we can shout you back. Okay? Well, as most days come in, we got our girl Ketty in the room. Good morning, Ketty. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. We have our boy Serge. What's up, Serge? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You know what I'm going to ask you, Serge? All right now. Hope everything is going well over there. And our lady Tamika is giving a shout into the room. Good morning, Lady Tamika, and I hope to be talking to you momentarily. All right. Well, we can't go any further if we do not acknowledge the ladies who keep it held down each and every morning. Let's say good morning to our girl, Anika. Hey, Anika. Thank you for all that you do. Shantice, good morning. Thank you so much for keeping the party going. And we look forward to speaking to you momentarily as well. All righty. Let's see. You know what we do on Therapeutic Thursday? We have our health tip. Now, I've got a very interesting topic here today. Foods that will make you sleep like a baby. I was like, oh, absolutely. I just got finished talking to someone last night who was like, I just can't go to sleep. And I'm like, okay. And then lo and behold, I wake up this morning and this is what comes across my lap. Bananas will make you sleep like a baby, they say. They say bananas full of potassium and magnesium, known to help you relax your muscles and calm your nerves. Wow. The natural sugar gives your brain a small boost of serotonin, which it can help you, settle down. All right. So peel one before bed and let the sleepiness set in naturally. Wow. And you know what's funny? I started to eat a banana buggy. Let me tell you something. Remember Pastor Steph always said, I never slept? That is not my problem these days. Oatmeal. Wow. Warm and comforting. Wow. Oatmeal's packed with fiber and has melatonin and complex carbs that will definitely reach your brain and help you sleep. They say add a little cinnamon and a honey to your oatmeal and you'll be so relaxed, you'll sleep like a baby. Kiwi. Wow. They say that kiwi is great for antioxidants, serotonin, vitamins that may help you fall asleep faster and sleep longer. Wow. Okay. They say that kiwi is linked to have improved sleep quality. All right. So get one of those kiwis before you go to bed. So already I'm hearing oatmeal with kiwi and banana. Times 3, you should sleep like a baby. Wow. Almonds, another thing you could throw up in that oatmeal. Yes. They say almonds they're a powerhouse when it comes to sleep. They're full of magnesium and melatonin, and your body will definitely love that at bedtime. And they say just a handful in the evening, and it'll help your muscles relax and your brain slow down. Wow. Okay, so you could throw those walnuts in with your oatmeal, or the walnuts, which is definitely brain food. Definitely brain food. Walnuts, definitely brain food. They say, again, a natural source of melatonin and healthy fats, and they support your brain health. I told you. Let's see. They say eating in the evening to help your body wind down naturally, and you should sleep like a charm. So far we've got oatmeal with kiwi and or bananas, and almonds or nuts. Cherries. Wow. This is the first year I've seen cherries on sale so often. Normally cherries are like $5.99, $6.99 a pound, but I've seen them as low as $1.99, $2.99, and I'm willing to buy them at that point. So listen, grab up those cherries if you see them on sale, because we don't know how long that's going to last. All right. Well, again, filled with melatonin. It will help your sleep cycle go along much better, they say. So get that tart cherry juice. We talked about that before. And drink that right before it's time to go to bed. And they said before you know it, you will be snoozing like crazy. Turkey. We're talking about foods that help you sleep like a baby. And turkey is on this list. Wow. Well, they say that turkey contains nutrients, believe it or not. They contain an amino acid that your body needs to make melatonin. All right. So they say a few slices on whole grain crackers can be light and will help you get your sleep on. Wonderful. Chamomile tea. We've all heard of chamomile tea. Oh, chamomile tea is great for helping you sleep, and it's caffeine free, contains antioxidants, and those antioxidants will promote sleep and relaxation. Okay, so they say get a little warm cup of chamomile before you go to bed. You will sleep like a charm. Greek yogurt. Wow, I wouldn't have thought that was on this list. Well, they say the calcium helps your brain make melatonin. Yes. And they say it's a great source of protein. And add a few cherries, bananas, almonds, or walnuts. You have a powerhouse of a sleep aid. No more sleep aids will you need if you eat that. White rice. Wow. Now, they say jasmine or basmati rice will help you fall asleep faster. They say it's high in glycemic index, and it helps your brain settle down. Wow. Okay. They say make sure you eat it a couple of hours before bed. You'll be fine. Milk. A warm glass of milk before bed works. But how many of us drink milk? A lot of us aren't drinking milk anymore. Well, they say the calcium helps to manufacture the melatonin, and smoothie, creamy. Once it's warmed up, throw some cinnamon in that bad boy, a splash of honey, and you will definitely be able to fall asleep. Pumpkin seeds. Wow. Pumpkin seeds are filled with magnesium and zinc, which are nutrients that can help improve your sleep quality. And they say eat them plain or roast them lightly with a dash of sea salt, not the pumpkin seeds we used to eat with all the layer of salt on it. Yeah. So you definitely want to get that in your system if you want to sleep. So let me give this list to you all over again. Foods that make you sleep like a baby: bananas, oatmeal, kiwi, almonds, walnuts, cherries, turkey, chamomile tea, Greek yogurt, white rice, milk, and pumpkin seeds. Now, that might be now don't eat so much that you can't get up at 7 in the morning and check out It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Okay? All righty. So let's see what we're talking about in the news this morning. Boy, these people are quite trifling. They are quite trifling. So, there was a woman who had been robbed at gunpoint. And I want to start this story almost at the end, because the way the story was told, I was like, okay, I'm a little confused. So let's see. So Miss Vega was due in court to testify in an armed robbery involving a gentleman on the day she was also found dead. So now we can start at the top of the story. So you have this young woman, and she was robbed again at gunpoint in Arizona. And the guy who, okay, I can see a little bit better. This Kojo Young has been indicted for murder. His charge is first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, kidnapping, arson, and more. Why? Because they say on the day that Ms. Vega was found, she was found in a car. They say she had been kidnapped by Kojo from a parking lot of her Tempe, Arizona residence. She was found dead the next day in a burning car. And they say a medical examiner found that she had suffered blunt force trauma and was shot, in addition to having bleach poured down her throat. Really, y'all? Really? Now, they also say that unfortunately, when she died from smoke inhalation, that indicated that when they set the car on fire, that she wasn't dead. Yes, that's how they can always tell, like if you were dead or alive during your during the murder. Yeah, after you die, they check for all of that, and they say that her lungs were filled with smoke, which meant that she was, when they shot her, she didn't die. So now it's time for her, this particular day, to go and testify. And this is what they did. Him and another individual that was involved, they had robbed her at gunpoint after she ended her job coming from a strip club. And, she's about to tell, and you mad? You're mad. We talk about mental health, physical health, emotional health, financial health, spiritual health. We talk about all kinds of different health issues on Thursday as other days. But this is a serious issue with your mental health. You not only want to rape and rob at gunpoint, but you want to be able to do all of this stuff to people, and then they don't respond, they don't testify. She wasn't even testifying for someone else, she was testifying for herself about what happened with her. And this is what you do. You kidnap her, you shoot her, you set the car on fire, you pour bleach down her throat. Yo, the shooting wasn't enough. If you poured bleach down her throat, it wasn't enough. Because my thing is, so are you trying to send a message? If she's dead, what message did you send? And are you trying to send a message to other people? So is that saying that you're going to be a career, or you are a career criminal? So it's like, when you see me coming and I do whatever I do to you, you better not tell. Come on. This here, this is sick. This is really, really sick. And to think that, she suffered trauma when you armed her at gunpoint, and then she suffered trauma after, and now she suffered when it was time to testify, and they weren't coming after you. So somebody's just gonna happen. Boy, it's her luck that she suffered from an armed robbery, and on the day she's due to testify, just so happened all of this stuff takes place. You should have known they were coming for you. You were just like the spouse. That once somebody is dead, the first person they look at is the spouse. You're the spouse, because that's how they're looking at you. Dummy. Boy, poor thing. Well, they, during the obituary, they wrote in how, she was really a lovely person and blah, blah, blah. And, it's so sad. It is really, really sad. So sorry to hear that happen. All righty. Well, so we've been laughing and talking about cruising and all different types of topics when it comes to cruising. Well, out in Turkey, Hawaii, and a couple of other countries, Russia, they were panicking because they got notice of a tsunami. So there was, let's see, this, I think it was 8.8 magnitude. And they set out the alarm for the cruise ships to hurry up and get out to sea, because the closer you are to the shore, that gets hit worse when the tsunami comes in. So what the cruise ship did was they sounded an alarm. They sent out they were at the port of Hawaii, and people were out on their little excursions, and everybody started getting a text that you must come back to the ship right away, because they had to get out to sea. Now, they say that when they are actually experiencing a tsunami, that the cruise ships need to be like where there's like 140 feet, 50 feet, something like that, the depth of the water, at least that deep, because it can handle the tsunami better. Tsunamis, it doesn't have the same effect if you're out that far. Well, what do you think happened? That when they, some people are out on an excursion up on they say like a mountain, if you will. So getting back to the ship wasn't as easy as those who were like closer at port side and things like that. So everybody runs back to the ship only to find the ship was leaving. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? You're in Hawaii and the ship is leaving without you. Now, I don't know. They don't say how they accommodated the people who were left. They didn't say whether the ship ended up going back when it was safe. They didn't say they flew the people home. I'm definitely going to follow up on this because I am definitely interested in seeing what happened. But that had to be extremely scary. Extremely scary. Now, they were telling the ones that were still on land in Hawaii that they needed to get out onto higher ground. Because of course, if a tsunami's coming through, you want to be higher up and further back so that it doesn't affect you. Because the biggest part of the wave, they say, is at port side. The closer it gets to the shore, that's where it does the most damage. That's where it's the highest. So people were afraid who were on the ship, clearly, and people who were left on land. Now, I don't know anything about this Hawaii, but now they got to take us on higher ground. I don't know if they're coming back for me. I don't know if they left my name at the port side. I don't know whether they're going to fly me back. I don't know if I have to stay another 5 days. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. But clearly what should have happened was the manifest, should show, at the end of the day, who was actually on the cruise ship and who was actually left at the port. And maybe they, being that they're communicating via text message, maybe that was one way that they could find out. Just text us if you're left at the port, and here's what we'll do. We'll pay for you to come back or be at this place or that place. But that had to be quite scary. And so there's a lady, of course, somebody's always got a video going. She's all over TikTok. And, she was just discussing how afraid everybody was. And you ain't got to tell us, because we could only imagine how scary it was. So prayers up. Prayers up. Oh my goodness gracious. What else are we talking about this morning? All you got to do is let the summertime come in, because most of your news is filled with traveling news. So you have this flight that took off, an international flight, and after they were in midair, there was a bit of drama. So someone had snuck onto the plane what they call a red-eared slider turtle, which is a freshwater reptile native to North America. Now, they're not very popular. They're not from all over. And for some reason, people collect these animals. Pastor K.L. was one who said, he used to like exotic animals and things like that. But yeah, they snuck it in a bag. And while they were in the air, the turtle managed to get out of the bag, they say. Well, not only did it manage to get out of the bag, but it bit a passenger. And that was not a good thing, because when you have these exotic animals and they bite, you don't know what they're passing. So they said that unfortunately, this is not like the only time that someone's been caught with this type of turtle. They say that not that long ago, there was a turtle that was snuck onto a plane, and that turtle got out too, but did not bite anybody. They say that these exotic animals carry a lot of diseases, especially these turtles. They are disease ridden at times. And when someone gets bitten, that's a public health issue. Yes. Even when they actually get out into the open, it's a public health issue, because at that point, a disease, can occur within the people. So they didn't say that they were going to necessarily punish this individual, but they say that this passenger is under investigation and they could be prosecuted. And if they are prosecuted, this is going to be some time. Because it's, what do they call it? Like a public health issue. And then you're smuggling. You got on there knowing that you were not supposed to have this particular animal, reptile, whatever you want to call it, but you weren't supposed to have it. So, I mean, why? Not only that, my thing is, how did this get smuggled through TSA? It was frozen. It didn't move. No, nothing. It wasn't picked up on the mag or anything. So whether, they had it in a bag when they, smuggled it in, whether they had it on their person when they smuggled it in, either way, how did this show up on the mag? I told you, I had a cloth dressing, cotton. What do you call it? The pads are cotton. The gauze is cotton. And when I would go through the mag, the one where you hold your arms up and they spin you, they spin the machine. They would ask me, I would have to always step to the side and explain. And when I looked on the screen, all you saw was this big old white. It was nothing but white. And because the tape is like all over the place, it just looked like a big old jigsaw puzzle. So I'm saying to myself, how are you picking up cotton, but you're not picking up something that's breathing? What? That is like craziness to me. And listen, here's the other thing. Now they said that you don't have to take off your shoes. Did not say it's just going to take a couple of people to get caught doing some stupid stuff and all that get reversed. Oh yeah, we're going to take off our shoes again soon. This ain't going to last long. This is not going to last long at all, thanks to your friendly neighborhood passengers. Because you don't think you could put a turtle in your shoe? Tape it to your shoe where it ain't moving and it can't bite you. And you go ahead through the mag and don't pick it up. And you then leave from the mag and go to the bathroom and take it out. Because my thing is, how did it get out of the bag? Sorry. They are some sorry people. What else are we talking about? The news never amazes, or never stops amazing me. So you have this issue of this elected official, and he was in whatever the building is that, they work out of, and somebody came and doused him with gasoline, set him on fire. Now, he didn't die. He's in the burn center and he's awake and speaking. So thank God it wasn't that bad. I guess somebody, put out the fire on his body. Now they're saying it's not a political thing. It's personal. So in other words, you didn't make anybody mad with your laws or your rules. Somehow or another, this personal situation got so bad that they wanted to douse you with gasoline and set you afire. What kind of hate is this? This is why I'm going to tell you something. Shantice, Pastor KL, they always talk about, I'm so tired of hearing about mental health. Again, today we're talking about your health. And there's quite a bit of mental health breakdown here. But I got to tell you, a lot of this is just plain evil. Plain and simple evil. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because you only are covered by God and not like a victim. Only covered by God, and you make it out here day by day. Because this is bad. This is really, really, really bad. Let's see if we got a check-in from anyone else. Hey, Kyra. Good morning. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. And you know what? That reminded me, I got to shout out Miss Grace. Hey, Miss Grace, how are you? So good to have you all on. And we're getting a good morning from Anika. So we're so happy to have you on. Let's talk to our girl, Tamika. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a great day to be alive. And how are you today?
Amen. I am well, thank you. How are you?
I am doing great.
Good. We got a check-in from our Pastor Creighton. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, stopping by. Thank you so much. All righty. So, Tamika, we got some stuff to talk about today. So, somebody hits you up and there's an armed robbery and you're the victim. So you managed to get away. They didn't kill you at the time. But you know what? They ask you, do you want to testify? And you say yes. Well, the day you are to testify, they find you in a car that has been burned up, bleach poured down your throat, and you are shot. So now there's vengeance and revenge on the individual who was going to testify against you. And they really thought that they were not going to be the ones who the authorities came after when she didn't show up to court. What's going on?
Sometimes I look at these, you've called them dumb criminals, where you just don't think, who else do you think that they will go through first, And if you wanted to scare me, then any one of them by themselves would have gotten
right.
You're going to shoot me, that's one. You're going to pour Clorox down. Hey, listen, bleach down my throat. That tells me clearly, you don't want me to talk, but you went all the way, killing her. And with technology the way that it is, why did you not think that you wouldn't get caught?
Today we're talking about our mental health, emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, and all of the above. All of the above. Like, you would not be the first person that they would go to look for. I don't get it. I don't get it. And unfortunately, this is the way of the world now. It's nothing but pure evil. Nothing but pure evil. Now, let me put out here before we go any further. I could not find a main topic for today. Now, I'm up for suggestions, but for some reason, Tamika, I'm thinking by the time we get finished talking about these things, oh, this will take us into something else. So, oh my goodness. Now, my face is itching. Excuse me. I don't know if it's allergies or whatever, but don't think I'm crazy. I'm not just scratching. All right, Tamika. So you go on a cruise. You're in Hawaii. You've paid to go on your excursion. You're out on the mountain, checking out the sights, and you get a text message that tells you everybody's got to come back to the ship because the ship has got to leave, and they need to get to safe, to a safe distance out because a tsunami is coming. There's a tsunami alert, and everybody beats it back to the ship only to find the ship pulling out already because they could not wait. They have to get to where it's like 140 feet, 160, 180 feet deep because the tsunami would not affect the ship at that level. But if it's closest to the shore, then yes, it would do some damage. And this woman is on there kind of describing the panic because the ones who are left are now told, you got to make it to higher ground. Well, how do you know what higher ground is? How do you know where to go? So now it's up to whatever tour guides to help you. What state of mind are you in, girl?
Now, I've been on a plethora of ships in my lifetime, and you look at all of the different people that are going out. Some are going on excursions, and some are going to the beach, and some are going to purchase things. They're all over the place. Some are taking cabs and taxis to different places. Some have family. And you think about just the whole thing of getting a text message from your cruise ship. First of all, in some excursions, they literally take your phone and they lock it in a locker for you to get back at a certain time. I've had it happen to me.
Wow.
Depending on the circumstance. Sometimes some people may not have their phone. So they did get the message. That's number one. Number two, you've got people who don't pay attention to their phones. They leave their phones on the ship. That's another array of people. You've got people who, probably got the text message, not gonna look at it. Just don't even bother. And then you've got people, I'm on the beach. Really? I'm not paying attention to my phone. And then at that point, when you finally do look at your phone and you get there, the fact of you hear, if you even hear that at all, it's already out in the water. It's not like you can swim to it. There's no way, even if you swam to it, there's no way for you to get on the ship as it's out in the water. The panic, I've seen, being on many ships, I've seen it pull out and we're waving people bye, and they're actually, trying to get on the ship. Here's the other thing. You're there, especially if this is your first time out there. You've never been there. You don't know who to get in contact with. You don't know who to trust. You don't know where to go. High ground is where? Am I supposed to?
Right.
To help me.
Right.
So the panic of those people that were out there, I can't even fathom. Also, you've got relatives that are on the ship that are attached to people who for whatever reason didn't make it. So my family used to always do, whenever, right before the ship would leave, we would do a check-in. You meet on the Lido deck at this time so that we all could look at each other and say, okay, everybody's here. Now we can go on, carry on. What do you have any type of emergency, method? If such and such doesn't make the ship, what do you do? Those type of things. None of that is ever talked about, especially if you've got family or friends that have come on the first ship. All you're thinking about is enjoying yourself. If this is your first cruise, my heart goes out to you because it's like, who do you reach out to? What's your emergency? Right. Have you given anybody an emergency contact? Have you given your passport in local areas to people who can say, okay, such and such didn't make it. What do? Do you get in contact with the airlines? There's a plethora of conversation on just that one.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that she mentioned in her video, that, there were people on the ship who had family on ground, on land, and there were certain people vice versa. And she mentioned something like the kids must be scared or whatever because they were on the ship. So now you got, I'm sure an adult was with them. They weren't left there. But I'm going to tell you something. I remember very clearly the little teen and the little kitty. And I'm sure if you've been on the ships, you've seen them too. They go to like a little camp while they're there. So the parents leave you there in the little camp thing for the day, and then they go about, their excursions or whatever the situation is. So can you imagine if that was one of the scenarios where you're out on land trying to get to higher ground and your child is on a ship? So this here had to be a very, very, very scary situation. Oh my goodness gracious. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Let's talk to Vivian's on. Let's talk to Vivian. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, ladies?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
We thought you went cruising.
I wish.
I was like, well, did she leave us on land and she went on the cruise ship and we got to find higher ground? Oh my goodness gracious. Did you hear the stories?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's talk about the woman who went to testify. So if you were robbed and you saw who robbed you, would you opt to testify against them?
I mean, knowing what I know, I probably would be too scared to.
Yeah.
Because I've heard the stories of people who, you get ready to testify and now people coming after you and things like that. So I would probably be too scared to.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's something to think about, because just like you said, when you hear these experiences, she's due to testify, against these people. And that's the day they've kidnapped her already. And they've, poured bleach down her throat and shot her and set the car on fire. And it's like, yo, what are you doing? Like Tamika said, one thing would have been good enough. Yeah, that's crazy.
So was it the person who tried to rob her, or was it his people?
He did it.
Wow.
He did it along with someone. And that's really, so you really don't care. Mm-hmm. Because if you're robbing her and then you're going back to kill her.
Right. Would you not have rather go to jail for robbing her, but rather than go to jail for murdering her? Like, what?
Right. And now if you think about it, Viv, remember now they got you for armed robbery. They've got you for arson.
Right.
They've got you for torture.
Rape.
They've got you for, kidnapping. So like you said, now you've loaded and stacked the deck. What a dumb criminals. Dumb criminals. Oh my goodness. All right. So we started off that you were not on a cruise ship this morning, but if you went on a cruise ship and you went on an excursion, you're in Hawaii, it's blissful, like, oh my God, I'm in Hawaii. And then the ship leaves.
I would have lost my mind. I would have lost my mind. They would have heard me from the cruise ship screaming and hollering. I would have lost it. What? That is the scariest thing. That is so scary.
Yeah.
But like Tamika said, you maybe you don't even have service out there. A lot of plans don't reach that far. A lot of the, T-Mobile ain't gonna work the same in Hawaii as it does in New York. So how are you sending out text messages expecting people to be able to see this? That's not the way to go. You got to find a way to get out there and make sure they hear the announcement or they know that what's going on. You can't rely on a text message out on a cruise, on an excursion. That's crazy.
It is, because you don't get service.
Right.
You hit the nail on the head. I'm telling you, you don't get no service. From the time you get to like a certain distance from the port. They claim, and Shawnee's paid for Wi-Fi. You can buy, pay for Wi-Fi, but once you get out there and you out in Hawaii, you up on the mountain somewhere, right. Like you said, you're not getting any service. So now, how good is that alert?
Right.
How good is that alert? Not only that, they said they only had like minutes from the time that they got the alert that 8.8 whatever they call it, that tsunami was coming, and they had to almost immediately get out to where it was like 160 feet deep. So now you got to pull out immediately. Right. So there's not only, because let me tell you something, embarking and disembarking takes time. People right. ain't moving at the same. Now, Vivian, imagine somebody telling Pastor Steph she had to rush.
Oh, my goodness.
Just imagine saying, run. You know it's an epic fail, girl. So when you're getting off the ship, you got people with wheelchairs and people, older people. You don't have that much time, right. To move. So it's definitely a scary situation. Definitely a scary situation. Oh my goodness gracious. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's hear from our girl Shantice. See what she's got to say. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
All right. Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. So would you, and I didn't ask Tamika this, so I'm going to go back a little bit. Hold on, Shantice. Tamika, would you be the one to testify? Would you testify against the person who did something to you?
You're muted.
The world that we live in now is very scary. I'm almost at a point now where, if I hit somebody, oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute, or if they hit me, oh, I'm sorry, because just they're so unhinged, and I, in my former life, oh, I would have been the first one to tell you, I would have been, let me tell you the story. Let me tell you how it happened. Now, it's okay. You hurt my knee, and I'm going to have to go to the hospital. It's broken, but it's okay.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Shantice, someone, you suffer an armed robbery or experience an armed robbery, and they ask you, do you want to testify? What do you say?
I would probably say yes. But again, a lot of different factors would be factored in, like armed robbery. What was he armed with? Did he have a cracked jackknife? Did he have a gun? Is it someone I know or didn't know? Some of those things would play a factor in my decision. I completely agree and fall on the lines of like what Lady Tamika just said. Now it's just the wind can blow anyway, and that would just set somebody off. But it would depend on probably like who was, and like everything would have to be factored in, because at the same time, I'm also now, I play a role kind of sort of in if they have an opportunity to do this again to someone else, so I say nothing, but then now you still roaming the mean streets of NYC or wherever, in and out of alleyways, dipping behind cars, to now do this against someone else. Somebody's gonna have to be the one to say, he crazy, get him. And now the heavier part of the responsibility falls on the courts. If they goof up, now it's their goof up. But somebody has to be, because maybe he did this before, but nobody said anything, and now he had a chance to get to me. Yeah,
I was definitely thinking that, do you, it is a scary world, and it will make you very reluctant to even, step up. But you think about, did someone not say anything before, and that's how it ended up being me?
Right.
you know, and if I don't say anything, does it end up being someone else? It's a big risk to take. And I gotta tell you, I might be in the Lord, but I still gotta
And
err on the
unfortunately,
side of caution.
yes, and unfortunately, because of the way these councils move, these lawyers, they're so quick to put people out there just so they look good. So,
Yeah.
for example, prosecution could be like, "Oh yeah, because we already got our star witness." You had to say that now. You could have waited. You could have waited to say that like a day before. I know you have to give the judge and the defense a heads up with a lot of things, but you ain't have to like spew it out there like that. Now he got time to come for me, so thank you. So they
Yes.
play a huge role. These cops who be wanting to solve these cases for wrong reasons, and these lawyers who want to win for ill-gotten gain, they have a lot to do with why a lot of these witnesses and people who come up missing and dead and all of that, because they talk too much. Because it's all about what I can now put under my belt. I got this arrest under my belt. I got this conviction under my belt. Yeah, well, now this family has to bury their loved one because all you had on your mind was getting another notch under your belt. So you have that plays a role as well. Like who's a prosecutor? Are they sloppy? Is this a public defender? Is like all of that plays a factor, unfortunately.
You just brought up something in my thought, and I'm going to come back around for that with you all. But we're going to talk about being left on land in Hawaii. What happens? What happens when the ship pulls off and you're on land and you've got to find higher ground so that the tsunami does not take you away?
I agree with Vivian. I'll just stay there and start crying though, because it's like it was almost like when you just gave the story and they did say, "Let me just cry, let me just cry." Just stand there and cry, and everybody coming like, "What's wrong?" Just wait, because you can't help me do nothing. Just shut up. Just wait. Let me talk to Jesus. Let me see what he says. Because I couldn't even imagine. I don't even like Pastor Steph. I just told you yesterday. It's something about wanting to be home lately. I don't know. I could go to the boulevard 4 blocks up to the store, and I'm in there like, I just want to go home. I just want to get home. And in my head, I can just envision my space. I see my couch. I see my bed. I see my bath. Like, I just want to be home. I can imagine being in Hawaii. Like, this ain't my hood. Ain't no corner stores around here. Ain't no, and then you talking about tsunami coming. Like, what do you mean, sir? Like, no, I couldn't even imagine. Like, my only route of getting back to New York just pulled off. I can't swim. What's about to happen? Is this the end, Lord? Is this the end? Is this how I'm gonna go? Like all those things gonna be.
Oh my goodness!
Like is this the end of the Shanti's book? Like really, guy, we have to leave here. When's the last time I ate? Hold up, but yeah, that would just be all those things going through my mind. I don't know if I would have enough energy to yell because all of that would just be boggling. And then just my luck, there is no tsunami, and now I'm stuck there with people who are from there, just sitting there looking around. With whatever I had on me.
Wow. It's a whole lot of thinking.
Yeah, it's like what else could you really do? What else could you do?
Pray.
I just said they come and say, how can I help you? I said, shut up, let me just talk to Jesus. That's the prayer time. Because you can't help me. This is a job that only the Lord can assist with. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. I want to go back a little bit, and I'll include Pastor KL in this round. So we talked about the fact that, of course, you would be afraid of, testifying. Pastor KL, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
How about you?
Thank you. All righty. So, Pastor KL, somebody robs you. There's an armed robbery. You're the victim. Do you, if you see the person and you know who did it, because they were just bold enough, they didn't put on a mask or anything. Do you testify when they ask you if you would like to?
It depends on how much they took. If they took $5, we good. If they took
You sound,
$500,
wait,
I'm
hold on,
testified.
hold on. You sound muffled.
Yeah, you really low.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but you sound muffled. Okay. All right, so he'll dial back in. As a matter of fact, he's not all the way gone, actually. Okay. All right. So Tamika, let you jump in here, and I'll come back to Pastor KL real quickly. So, do you think this issue with bail is one of the biggest problems? Because if you've been snagged for armed robbery, this clearly happened when he was out on bail, and that's why he was free to be able to do this. Is this bail system something that we can blame?
I believe so. I'm sure there are many other factors, but the fact that you actually had access to get out is your opportunity, and you probably seeked her out, found out, where her normal haunts are, and you use that opportunity as a window to do all of those things to her and just the trauma that she had to go through. But bail definitely is one of the factors, yes.
Okay. Vivian, do you think that, like Tamika said, we know that there are other issues, but do you think that if they were to revoke this bail option, that this would help to make people more confident in testifying?
Yes, because how much money would you be saving if you revoked bail rather than having to put people in witness protection?
Right.
Because if he's out and I'm supposed to be testifying against this person, there's a possibility that he can come after me. I remember when my sister, she was out and about late night and some guy tried to rape her and they asked her to testify. She wanted to make sure that he was still locked up before she testified. Come to find out, they had let him out. It took too long to tell her. It wasn't until after that she found out that they had let him out. He was free. So she was like, no, I'm not testifying. No. So yes, if you revoke these bails and keep these, I mean, it's not to say that they wouldn't send somebody else up after her.
Right.
That person. But at least the person who did it, I would feel a little bit more safer knowing that that person is still behind bars.
Absolutely. Pastor KL, now you were answering as to whether you would testify or not.
Yeah. I was saying, I think it depends on how much money they robbed me for. If they rob me for $10, we're good. If they rob me for $500, yeah, I gotta take a chance. You don't stunt my manhood. But if it was just a few dollars and a pack of cigarettes, then I'll let it go.
Oh my goodness. So I'll ask you the same question. The lady said that, hey, I'm nervous. After what this guy did, kidnapped her, tortured her, poured bleach down her throat, shot her, set the car on fire. I'm gonna be the one to stand up and take this chance. Is this bail factor a big part of the problem?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so if this was a random guy robbing you that you never seen before, he never saw you, then I wouldn't really be worried about because you don't know my whereabouts. But yeah, if I know you, if you Pookie from the 4th floor, yeah, you got to be in jail. Yeah. That definitely takes a different light on it.
Okay. Shantice, what say you?
Men are like so. What Pastor Kale just said reminded me. One of my friends told me he got robbed for his chain, and the guy pulled a gun out and was like, "Give me your chain." So he was about to take it off, and the guy went to go snatch it. He said, and I popped his hand like, "No, you ain't about to snatch the chain. Like, it's bad enough I'm about to give it to you, but you ain't gonna snatch it off my neck." And I'm like, "What did you just say you had a gun?" Well, he's like, "No. But already as a man, you about to take my chain. You're not about to take off my neck. Let me take it off my neck." So now there's a process to robbery. Now the victim gets to dictate. Okay. It that what Vivian just described with her sister is tragic. And again, I'm watching how I know someone right now who's going through a case where it's attempted murder. This man tried to kill her, and he is free. Mm-hmm. Not only is he walking around free, he's on supervised watch. But they couldn't find him when their case came up during the hearing. And I'm trying to figure out, well, what does supervised mean? Because when I look up in Google, to be under supervised watch means that there are eyes on you at all times, but yet y'all can't find him. So how am I supposed to feel safe? Again, see? Because everyone's attention is on the wrong thing. Everyone's motives, did we just talk about motives yesterday? Everyone's motives are off. How is it that the judge can sit here and say you're on supervised watch, but then the case is being called up right now and his counsel can't find him? What's happening? So the bail needs to be, and it has everything to do with I feel like with money. Or so we set this bail. So if we set it at 100,000, you only got to pay 10%, but you're still getting money. So now we push for this bail, we get money. But yet now y'all got to spend money to bury your family and your friend because we just gave him or her another opportunity to now go after the person who they feel is going to send them back to jail. Everyone's motives are off.
This is crazy. This is crazy. Serge says, yes, that is a thing with these cops. They make the report. However, they don't hold on to the suspect, especially with us MTA workers. Wow. Didn't realize that was an issue for MTA employees. Wow. Okay. Woo. All right. So one of the stories that we covered was a politician who's been in the seat for 12 years, and he was at work one day, and they say someone walked up in the building with a 5-gallon container of gas. Oh, we got Brother Al in the house, of gasoline, and he poured the gasoline all over the politician and set him on fire. Well, they made sure to say that this was not political. It's not an issue of something the person didn't like, in a decision or a rule he made or was a part of, that this was personal. And, Shantice and Pastor K always talk about, I'm tired of hearing about this mental illness thing. Well, no, we're not going there today. We're going with straight evil. That this is just straight evil. And with all of these things we just talked about the case with testifying, and we're talking about this now with this, again, revenge. Whatever happened you didn't like. So your thought is to set the person on fire. Vivian, what are we looking at? Because we're going to lose you first. What are we looking at here when we talk about the state of this world and how evil it is? That these are the type of things we got to worry about. Again, we used to say back in the day, everybody, you're going to box it out. There's no boxing. There's no fighting now. You shooting and torturing. You're pouring people, gasoline and setting them on fire. This world has gone buck wild. What does it say for the state of this world now?
Well, first, I'm not leaving today. I'm off today. But it just takes me back to Pastor Kim's famous line, we are in our last and evil days, because it's just Like Lady Tamika said, if somebody offended me, bumped into me, hit me, I'm apologizing to you because I don't know where you taking this. And I talk about this all the time with like my husband, all these people. Like you arguing with these people over a parking spot. You saying whatever about them cutting you off. You better just keep on moving, swallow that pride, and keep on moving because people are not fighting fair anymore. People don't know what it is to fight anymore. People are shooting. People are putting, lighting you on fire. This world is just done for. This world is done for. You just don't know how people are going to react these days. And you can't even think like, oh, this is just a little kid. Like, I ain't got to worry about them. No,
Right.
nope. It's even the kids. And even yesterday when you talked about how Uber and Lyft are making it to where a woman will pick up a woman. I can't trust that either because women are setting up women. Like you can't get away from anything.
Yep.
We talk about all these different things that's going on in this world, how they get the kids. They like the two people are working together, and I'm gonna make you think that you could trust me, but I'm really
Right.
working with the
Right.
person who you thought was trying to harm you.
Mm.
It's just you
Mhm.
can't get away from the evil in this world. You just have to make sure you stay prayed up. You live a righteous life because that is the only way you gonna survive this evil is if you are on the right standing with God.
Absolutely, absolutely. And still there's room to be touched.
Mm-hmm.
Still there's room to be affected. Still there's room. But that's your best bet.
Yes.
Brother Al, good morning.
Top of the morning, top of the morning, chop of the morning. Oh yeah.
All right, brother Al. We're talking about, this guy who's set, he's mad at this man. They didn't say what the infraction was, what the argument was over, what the disagreement was about, but they said he's actually awake and speaking, and this gentleman here, and he could tell them that this is personal. What says that of the evil we're experiencing in this world?
Oh man, it's crazy. Evil is at an all-time high. I've watched it being here with the kids, and I'm talking about starting young, 10, 11 years old, even younger than that. I work at the summer camp when I finish here, and I had the little girls yesterday. I'm talking about these girls are like 9 and 10 year old, ready to fight each other. I'm just like, wow, it's just like evil is at an all-time high, and we have to stay prayed up. And I'm glad we didn't get into the point of mental this and mental that, because for me that's just an excuse. That's an excuse though, because people look at it like, okay, a normal person wouldn't set somebody on fire. Something got to be wrong. How about he's just evil?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
about he just evil? He knew well enough to go and get some gasoline, poured it on this man, and like he knew, okay, if I like this, it's flammable. So how much mental do he have? How about he's just plain evil? And like Vivian said, man, we just gotta pray. You gotta be careful. This world helped me change my the way I think and how I do things. And like you said, you get mad sometimes. You drive and somebody cut you off and stuff like that. So what I learned to do, because in the morning I always ask God for traveling mercy. And somebody cut me off or almost get in an accident and it don't happen, I'm like, shit, there it is, the traveling mercy,
That's
and I keep it going. And I keep it going. There it is.
Right.
So people don't understand when you ask for traveling mercy, that's what that means.
Right.
He prevented you from getting in that accident. So I get a little mad sometimes, like, yo, this dude crazy. But you know what, God, thank you for the traveling mercy. And I'm on my way.
Yep. That's right, brother Al. It's something that crosses my mind, and I see people get all excited. I'm like, well, didn't you just ask God to cover you? And now you're gonna fight your battle. The Lord has already covered you, but now you're gonna fight the battle. Okay,
Right.
now. Yes,
That ain't gonna work out too good for you.
right. Because now you done push the envelope. Come on, God said, I got you here, but now I got you here so you wouldn't have to go through that. Oh my goodness. Serge says, yep, the enemy disguised as a friend or someone who is familiar to us, so we think we're safe. Absolutely, Serge. You think, I know this person. We can work it out. I know this person. it won't get that bad. I beg
Right.
to
And,
differ.
and,
Good
and you know
morning.
what else, Pastor Steph? You know what else so funny, right? I remember, and I didn't understand until I got older. When I would be in school and I might get in some trouble or something, and my dad would come at me and be like, "Well, why you did this and that?" And I'd be like, "Well, I was with my friend and that." And every time I mentioned that, my dad always said, "You ain't got no friends." You know? As I get older now, I realize what he meant by that.
Yep. Yep. Until my mother went in her grave. That's what she told us. You ain't got no blankety blank friends. So, oh well. Pastor KL, Brother Al, y'all ain't my friends. Oh, I'm just teasing. Good morning, Teresa. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Serge says, yep. Oh no, I got that one already. I'm sorry. All righty. Pastor KL, what are we talking about here? The evil that's roaming this earth, but we want to keep putting it on mental illness. This is an example that this is just straight evil.
Yeah, I mean, it was too much thought in this. I mean, how could you be mental, with the brain that you have to put that together? That's intelligence. That's a form of intelligence. You have to go and get the gas. You have to have the lighter or whatever in your pocket. You have to be able to drive to whatever facility he's in. You have to be able to get close enough to him to pour it on him and then light it. Has already been strategically planned. This ain't crazy. This ain't deranged. This is serious stuff. And when you look at from the days of Martin Luther King to now, every century or every year, the crime gets heightened. It has not slowed down. It's just who's killing who now. Who's attacking who now. Before it was them against us, now it's us against us and them against us. We all in it. So are we all crazy? No, I think not. Some of us just are from hell. Hellbound.
Absolutely. Shantice, what say you in the factor of hell versus hell, Pastor KL? Evil in this world versus the mental illness, and whether this was an indication of mental illness or evil.
Again, mental illness is you don't know how to properly deal with the daily woes. Like if something goes wrong, if you have to wait for something, you may be a little impatient. You don't know how to handle when things don't go your way. Again, someone brought up the word normal, on a normal level. So if I'm at work and people are getting me upset, and instead of me just being able to still function at work, I may have to go in my office and shut everything and everyone out for like an hour or something. That's my mental health now being displayed. When I go to buy the gas or get the gasoline or whatever and strike the match and set you on fire, again, as it was said, there's some thought to that. That I have now surpassed how I handle something that I don't like. This is now how I'm going to take you out. And Pastor Steph, you say, once upon a time, everybody was willing to fight. It's because the devil is here to kill and steal and destroy. That's always been his plan, but now it's even heightened. So before it was okay for him to just want to beat you up real bad. Now he wants to demolish everyone. So now you say something I don't like. You use the last cup at the water cooler. You use the last bit of creamer at the coffee counter. Now I gotta cut you and kill you. Forget just telling you, make sure you replace that, please. No, now I gotta kill you. Because his goal is to take everyone out. So that's why it's just like, we have to stop putting it on mental illness and really say what it is. This is wickedness. This is evil. Whenever your mind goes to how I'm going to take you out, that is, he didn't do this just so he can get himself a little, see the guy get burnt a little bit. His goal was to kill him. The enemy's goal.
All right, so I have a question. So you have these instances where, like the mothers, it's a surge in mothers killing children and setting the house on fire, and the one last week where stabbed the baby 30 something odd times and was actually headed to killing the other children, but they managed to live. And that was calculated. But they're saying that she was mentally ill. How do you, what in your head, because we haven't studied this thing, but in your own head, how do you separate the two? How do you say, well, she is mentally ill? They have said that there's an issue with mental illness, but because all of you mentioned the calculated behavior, and yet there's some calculation to this. What do you think is going on? And like I said, we're all amateurs, so please do not put in the chat room. Ain't nobody. We know that. Just an understanding, because guess what? We have to think this thing through as well. Vivian, I'll start with you. What do you think when you hear the calculating of doing this to the children and saying that? What did she say? She said something about
possessed.
They were demon possessed. Yes, you're right. That they were demon possessed, but yet they said she had some level of mental illness. What comes to your mind?
The only thing I really like how I separate it is, was this seen or diagnosed before they decided to do what they did? I think in the mother's situation, she was already diagnosed with schizophrenia before she decided her kids were possessed by the devil and they had to die. So if this is a pre-diagnosed disorder or mental illness or whatever the case is, and her family knew that she was suffering with schizophrenia, she was on medication, but maybe she got off type of thing, and she committed this off of medication, then okay. But if this is this person just woke up, they were perfectly fine all their life, but they just woke up and decided, I'm gonna kill or I'm gonna burn this person, I don't think we can blame that on mental illness, because where were the signs, or where was the diagnosis before you decided this person had to die and by this way? So I think for me, that's the difference.
Okay. Brother Al, how would you, if you had to make the decision, where would your mind take you as to this is calculated and evil versus this is a mental illness going on here?
I would say, as far as again, if the family saw something, the family should be held accountable as well. Because I think that the people who have these mental issues should be off the street. They should have some type of facility for these people to go to and get the help that they need. Because they wait till something happens and then you want to say, oh, this person was mentally ill. And when you keep planting that in somebody's head, it does become a belief to them. It becomes a reality for them. I give, for example, here at the school, I got this 9-year-old kid saying he got anxiety. How you know you got anxiety? Well, my mother didn't keep telling me I got anxiety. Can you spell anxiety? You know what I'm saying? Or they'll tell a kid, you have, Mr. Byron, be careful, because this kid has a learning disability, right? But you put a video game in front of him, Pastor Steph, he figured it out in 10 minutes. So he don't have a learning disability. Because if he has a learning disability, then you have a hard time learning anything, not what you want to learn. So I think that that's the difference. It's like, get these people some help. Separate these people. Don't wait till they do something and then want to blame mental health. Because then, to me, like I said, it's an excuse. So obviously, some type of form, because you said demon. So, some type of form of what's going on in this spiritual warfare,
Okay. For the record, they say that the brain is the hardest thing to figure out. And there are different compartments in the brain. So there's literally a compartment in the brain that holds on to lyrics and poetry. There's another part of the brain that holds on to music. There's another part of the brain that holds on to like you commanding your body to respond. So when you get up to walk, your brain tells your body to walk or your legs to move, blah, blah, blah. So the brain is so multifaceted that they have actually said, Brother Al, that there's a part of your brain that when they're playing the game, it taps into a part of the brain. That's not even the whole, that's not even the whole brain operating. And you watch these kids play these games, man, they into it. And again, like you said, they have said that, these children are, mentally disabled or learning disabled or whatever. But they said that it's so complex that there's a piece of that brain that handles that game playing and the strategic side of things. So this is really complex. Pastor KL, how would you decipher, whether, in your own brain, whether, this is evil or mental illness?
I'm gonna be honest. I have a hard time even trying to compute this. I mean, Pastor Steph, you and I, and Brother Al, we all have children. How many times have we asked our child, "Have you lost your mind?" They've done something crazy. They said something crazy in response to what we asked, or they did something on the street, and you say, "Have you lost your mind?" I mean, does that mean they're demon possessed? No, they just had a stupid moment. You know what I mean? But we've all been in that place where we were baffled as parents because we didn't think that our children that we raised, that we taught, would do or say the things that they've done. So we've questioned, have you lost your mind? There's many times, I wanted to kill somebody because I thought they lost their mind. But I never put that in action form. I just don't understand how these folks, do things and then they say things behind it. I watch a lot of Law and Order and different stuff, and it's always go into, well, let's just plead insanity. Let's just use that as the preference. We were just crazy. Right. My question would be that if you thought your child, and this is how we know that God is not in the building, because if you thought your child was possessed with anything, one, you didn't go to a doctor. Two, you didn't go to a counsel, in your church. So you just took it upon yourself to give your own diagnosis because your child, for that second, has lost their mind, and you killed them. No. I think you have a problem, but I don't think you're crazy. I think you're tired of that child. We've all been tired of our children. I'm tired of them now.
I was just getting ready to say, Lord knows. I agree. Sean, it's funny. Y'all stop stepping on my stuff because that's where I was going next, actually, Pastor KL, to the children. Shantice, in your head, how do you separate the two?
I don't like this parenthood kumbaya moment y'all have it on here. But really quick, I wanted to really reiterate, but in other words. So again, mental health is a state of well-being in which you as you can cope with the normal stresses of life, where you realize your capabilities, where you try to fulfill your potential, and where you try to contribute to your surroundings. So surroundings meaning work, home, wherever, right? Evil is immoral behavior, where you try to cause unnecessary pain and suffering to others. That is the distinction between mental health and wickedness. That's where the line gets drawn. That's where the line breaks. Pastor Steph, you said, we're not scholars. I don't agree. If you dedicate yourself to God and his written word, you are a scholar. We don't have to go to college and study and have a major in psychology or anything that has to do with mental health. We understand the fruits of the spirit, one being self-control. I feel like Pastor KL, I've been trying to wrap my head around certain things that the world has deemed a cop-out, like Brother Al said. You're telling me that one side of my brain computes this and another side of my brain computes that, but yet I still have my whole brain. You didn't go in there and say, well, Shantice, when you fell that day, the part of your brain that would compute the academics got chipped off and got left on the side of the GWB. So now you only have the side that can compute the video games. Everything comes back to hitting every corner. I watch how these parents, like Brother Al said, they either diagnose or take the doctor's word for it and they feed into that. So if I see that my child is only good with video games, as a lazy parent, what am I going to do? I'm just going to continue to feed my child more video games because that's, perfect example. Pastor Steph, how many times have we gotten upset because we've had children left in our care and the parents say, well, they don't eat that. They only eat this. And we like, oh, really? Ask them what they have for dinner. Oh, they had boiled chicken. I thought you said they don't eat boiled chicken. They don't. Ask them what they just have for dinner. Boiled chicken. Ta-da! Guess what they like? Boiled chicken. We keep feeding into what makes life easier for us. And one of you guys just said it. Now everything is, we go to court, everything is let's plead insanity. Now everybody has to take a 730 test. You don't know what a 730 test is? That test is what now tests your mental health. But really it's testing if you're wicked or not, if you're evil or not, for them to now say, well, they were in their right mind when they committed this crime. They weren't in their right mind when they committed this crime. Stop. We have to understand what these things mean. And when we cross the line and now we try to revert back to what's popular, what's trending. Mental health is trending. It's been trending for the past few years now. And if I was all mentally ill, why all these people who commit these crimes then go kill themselves? Because the job of the enemy is to destroy. I'm not going to kill myself if all I have is mental illness, but I only wanted to inflict pain on the other person or the other people. So no, we have to stop leaning on these things that one person says and not everybody going along with it. Not everybody got that. Stop.
Okay. All right. So I want to ask on our way out of here, if your child was diagnosed, and Pastor Caleb, that's what he just stepped all up in here. If your child was diagnosed with mental illness, what would you say? Now, three of us here have children, so we can answer a little differently. I'm sorry, but what would you say? Would you say, you know what? Okay, let's get him further evaluated, or would you err on the side of your own personal? And there's no right or wrong answer here. You know, just trying to get an understanding. Somebody says, you know what? They pushed him down the steps, and you know, I don't understand. You know, we've seen him. You know, he's become, you know, a little, you know, upended. And he's behaving, you know, so differently now, and everything he does is destructive. And I really think you need to go have him evaluated. What are you saying, Brother Al?
I would say, thy rod and thy staff comfort me.
Okay.
But you know, I would have a billion questions, because I'm not just going to accept you saying, yo, this is what he got mental issue, this and that. I need you to elaborate on that more. We need to do more testing. I need to give him counseling. Like you said, if something happened to him, sometimes counseling could just fix that. I'm not just gonna take your word, oh, he got mental health, and start giving them all these medicine and all that stuff. No, I'm not doing that. Because, like I said, these times are different. When we was younger, there was no such thing as mental health because a belt or whatever your parent could get in their hand will fix that. So I'm just saying
Right.
what it is. Right. So I would do further investigate a lot of investigation. I'm not gonna just take it where oh my son got mental health. No, you know what? We're gonna go further. I'm gonna put all my time in because we're gonna see what's going on. Do he really got mental health? Or do I need to use the belt? Let's talk about it.
Okay, okay. Shantice, they say, well, the school psychiatrist or psychologist, have sat with her and him, and we've been watching his or her behavior, and we really, think there's something that's not right about them. What are you saying?
I think you're talking about the wrong person being evaluated. No. You here to tell me, not that my child, I'm not debating on if my child is bad or if he or she did something or if some things that are, wrong. I'm not, because I'm like you, Pastor Steph, I ain't going to sit here. You know your child. You know your child. At the same time, I 100% agree with Brother Allen. That's why, Pastor Steph, as soon as you started explaining it, I was laughing because I'm just envisioning someone calling you for 83 of us saying, I think Shantice Shorty Tomato has mental illness. We'll get beat just for someone else saying that. As if we told them, do me a favor, call my mother and tell her I have mental illness so I don't get in trouble. Like, do me a favor, don't ever say that to her, okay? Because you want me to come back to school? You want to see me alive? You don't want to be responsible for me really having mental health? Do not say that. Because, again, I agree. It's become so much of a thing. Everyone has become lazy in saying that to the point where when you really sit, when you really sit with these teachers and deans and ask, well, give me an itemized, like, what happened? They can't tell you nothing half the time because ain't nobody paying attention because everything is mental health. You can't tell me which hallway it was, which staircase it was, which child it was. Did something happen before that? Post the situation, nothing. Because one time they do something or a few times they do something, we just gonna label them as mental health. Go to this doctor, get them a prescription. No. So you can't come to me and tell me anything about mental health or everybody gonna need to get evaluated. Because after I done sat here and asked my set of questions, you gonna wonder if I did do my own studies. And a lot of times the teachers are not ready for that. And Pastor Steph, because we've been in those situations where they think they doing something, calling us up to the school. And by the time we ask our questions, now they're looking at the child for the child to bail them out. But you called me. You called me. You called me. So no, you can't come to me and tell me that.
Okay. Vivian.
I would I'm on the same side as Brother Al. I would ask more questions and get second opinions and third opinions and everything before I just accepted that my child has mental illness or some type of problem. I actually had a parent come to me yesterday about her 2.5-year-old, and she was asking me if I noticed anything. And I kept telling her, like, no, he's good. Like, he's very smart. He has some behavioral issues, but that's age appropriate things that, kids do at this age. And she was adamant. She's like, are you sure? Because he'd be doing some things and I just be looking at him like wondering. I'm like, no, he's fine. I don't have any concerns for him. He answers questions, he shares, blah, blah, blah. She was like really trying to get me to say, yeah, wow, you might need to consider, like, I also see it how it would just be so much easier if you just told me my child has something. It would just be so much easier because then I can do this and I can do that and I don't have to worry about this or worry about that. So I see both sides, but if it were me, I would definitely look into it more and ask more questions and do some studies and get a couple more opinions before I just accepted it, because they just do be labeling people just to label people.
Okay.
Pastor Steph, I'm sorry, Pastor, just real quick. I'm just sitting here picturing the teacher called Pastor Steph and said, you know, Shanti got some mental health. I can see Pastor Steph saying, don't worry about it. Give me the Friday. She gonna be all right by Friday. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
You won't have that problem anymore. She'll have a whole new brain by the time we finish. You got that right, Brother Al. Pastor KL, they've told you about your child. Where you going?
Well, first of all, but when my crazy four, you ain't got to tell me about my children. My four are crazy in different ways, all different ways. But I've learned that thy rod and thy staff will comfort you. I learned that when I pull out the belt, they understood it better by and by. I also know that you ever see a child who cries, and then you say, "Shut up," before I give you something to cry about. The mental illness disappears. They shut up. They understand what's coming behind that. Now listen, you can't have mental illness without understanding what's coming behind the shut up. I think we have these lazy parents who are parenting. They put them in front of a video game, and all they doing is killing and killing and killing. Now, how you learn how to kill and how to get to level 9 and 10 and 12 and defeat the whole game, but you got mental illness? Man, y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. Listen, pull out a belt, pull out a switch. My mama used to tell me, go take a bath, and when you come out, don't dry yourself. What you think that meant? Y'all don't know what beatings are. Mental illness. I'm still dealing with the trauma of mental illness right now. And listen, the reason why I'm a pastor is because of the mental illness. I had to know Jesus. I had to know him. I'm so tired of these excuses. These even autistic children are genius. Mm-hmm. They learn how to play the piano, and they're genius. Mm-hmm. You just gotta challenge what they're good at and move along with it, and stop dealing with the bad. Listen, I was a class clown. Did I have mental illness? No, but I was a clown. I was a hoe. Did I have mental illness? No, but I was a hoe. Listen, we got issues. Shantice was a drunk. Was she crazy? No. But they was overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the words of their testimony. You got to go through something to get somewhere.
All right. Well, y'all have definitely given some insight on this challenge of mental illness versus evil. And as always, my Due Time crew, you have done a wonderful job. We thank you so much. Glad that you were able to hang out with us, Vivian. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You as well. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. Woo. This is a little deep here today. Okay, so with stroke victims, with bad strokes, their complete mind has not been affected. There are people who have suffered, and for those of you who may not know, when you have a stroke on the right side, it's actually your left side that you've had the stroke on. It works crisscross. Already, that shows the complexity of the brain. That when you have your right side is numb from a stroke, is not coming from the fact that you had a stroke on the right side. That already shows the complexity of the brain. When when people have had strokes, part of their memory is affected. When people have had strokes, they can't necessarily speak because their speech is slurred. The part of the brain that handles your speech has been affected. This also shows the complexity of the brain. And this world, the Bible has said that the devil, the enemy, is the prince of this world. It says it a couple of times. So God is in control of the world, but he's allowed the enemy to have his effect on people. The enemy does not make us do anything because the enemy cannot get in our brain. That's been protected by God. We can be influenced by the enemy, but the enemy does not, can't get in your brain. And I thank God for that, because your flesh and your spirit alone does enough damage, in your decision making and your behavior and so forth and so on. We'll need the complexity of the demon getting to your brain, or the devil getting to your brain. There's a lot of things that are going on with us. There are a lot of things. Once the Adamic fall took place, it really threw a monkey wrench into our behavior, the perfect plan, how it affects us. Yeah, just two people. It affected us. And someone said here today that it seems like I think it was Pastor KL, it's like each time it's getting worse and worse. We never heard parents against children the way they are today. How many parents we had I saw an Instagram post of a woman putting the children in the oven, and when the husband found out, he went to get the kids, they were already dead. And she did that, she said, because they had an argument. And that seems to be the thing these days. I don't think I covered it. Was today I didn't cover the story, but maybe tomorrow, where there's a mother who killed the kids, but she called the father and said, kind of like, you're gonna pay for, or the kids gonna pay for whatever happened between you and I. We've talked about this before, how the two parents are at war, and the children, are the pawns in the middle, suffering from your disagreement or hatred of the other parent. We've seen both parents we've covered stories of both parents. The father did something to the kids because the relationship was bad. Mother did something to the kids because the relationship is bad. We put a lot on mental illness, and that's the way this world operates, because that's the new trend. Oh, it must be mental illness, must be. And they've got Christian people believing that mental illness is the cause of all of these things. And I would be the first to say that we don't always know about any underlying mental illness. And one of the things that covers mental illness is drug abuse. And I did some study quite some time ago, and they said that people who have mental illness are more subject to use drugs. And once the drug abuse takes place, it really destroys the brain, because people don't realize this weed and cocaine and heroin, that stuff is affecting your brain. Now, because you could snap back and be normal, they feel like, hey, we good. It's not affecting my brain. Because God has allowed quite a few drug abusers to still be able to function, at least what they consider to, function or be a functioning individual. But after a while, you see the breakdown. Why do you think people are shaking so much when they even drink too much? They can't get up in the morning without their body responding to withdrawal from the alcohol. All of this stuff on top of any little level of mental illness is catastrophic, and is what we're dealing with now. Something has happened that has exacerbated what they've gone through, what they're experiencing. And there are times where we can place this behavior on mental illness, and there are other times that it is plain and simple evil. Evil. This enemy is out to destroy this world. Shanti's quoted twice. That's the enemy's goal, to kill, steal, and destroy. So it's destroy one another. It's not to destroy the grass, the trees, the sun. It's not to destroy that. It is to destroy God's greatest creation. He will go back in God's face. For being cast out of heaven. So here we are with a fallen world which affected us physically. So that's why we can be subject to diseases and illnesses, all from the fall of man. That was not initially designed. We are subject to that, to whether it's spiritual illness, physical illness, mental illness, emotional illness. It's part of what this world is suffering from because of the fall. Are there people who have a mental illness issue? Absolutely. Are there people who have evil intent and has nothing to do with mental illness? Absolutely. And that's growing. And we see it growing and covering this news each and every day. This is a growing issue because the enemy knows that his time is going to be up. So it says, even in the word of God, that he's going to take as many as he can with him. And for those of us who have rejected God, understand that there is a passage in the Bible that distinctly says ignoring God leads to a downward spiral. So if you think that you are not going to be affected by the enemy and you have been rejecting God, you better think again. And see, I always say to people, hey, you know what? I'm not going to talk to you about certain things if you don't even believe in the Bible. Because the Bible holds the key to anything and everything we will ever experience in this life. It talks about when you're oppressed at your job. It talks about pride. It talks about evil. It talks about every single thing that we will experience. So guess what? You're in that Bible as well. The things that you're struggling with is in that Bible as well. How to deal with, how to bring all of your burdens to God and let him take care of it. It's there. We have instructions that help us get out of this. But if you opt to say no to God continually, he says, I will leave you to a reprobate mind. And that is also captioned, ignoring God leads to a downward spiral. God does not have to touch you because our nasty flesh and spirit will do it all. It will destroy us in and of itself. God does not have to say, she's going to crash that car. I'm going to cause her to run into the street and the 19-wheeler truck is coming down. He doesn't have to touch us. And that's what the word of God says. I don't have to touch you. I just leave you to you. And baby, all I want to tell you is I don't want to be left to Stephanie. I remember what that was like before I gave God my life. My suggestion to you is if you don't want to see yourself go into a downward spiral, if you don't want God to leave you to you better grab onto Jesus right now. Because see, we don't know when the downward spiral is going to start. We don't know how quickly the spiral will go. We don't know where we're going to land when we are spiraling. We don't know what we'll do. I believe it's Romans 12, 18 through 35. Again, I believe it's Romans 12, 18 through 35. Read it for yourself. and see all the things that God describes that we're going to do when he leaves us to a reprobate mind, when he leaves us to us. And a lot of this stuff in the news is indicative of that coming true. So come on and join us. You can't hear these things day in and day out and just not be pricked to say, you know what, God, it could get worse. But before it gets there, I need to choose you. Make that decision today. While you still have the chance, make that decision today. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping us do what we do, keeping that chat room alive, letting us know that you're out there and you will listen. Faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. There's an opportunity for you to accept Jesus as your personal savior. Do that right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to just strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, God spares, where is Freestyle Friday, and we get to talk to the men. Until then, I love you.